Hey everybody, welcome to the State of the Market for September. Is it September? Yeah, September
Yeah,
2024.
we're in
Um,
October, but
yeah,
we're going to review September.
yes. So we're kind of back on schedule. We're starting it right at the beginning of the month. I actually have a fair amount of pages pulled up, so actually prepared this time. So I did look at Heritage. There really wasn't anything. There wasn't really much in the golden weeklies, but other things, I pulled a few things up from different auction sites. What was I going to say? First thing, I don't know if you had noticed, but there was some talk on the Discord about there was a submission of 20 Alifa Pele's.
Mostly authentics and ones.
Yeah, like 17 of them were authentics to 2, maybe. And then there was like a 2.5, a 5, and a 6. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
So somebody mentioned that it might have been from there was like some sort of
TV
show, yeah, in Sweden. And so I think it kind of made people dig through what they have. And, there's only a few people in Sweden that grade. So this is likely like a bulk submitter.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, is this like like for me, it's not at all concerning to me.
Me neither. I honestly, I think that, it has cemented itself. Whether it will always be, we don't know. Like you saw the 86 Fleer Jordan, the star cards,
since we
started grading them, started to, come back, right?
Yeah.
So will it always be? I don't know. But when you keep it into perspective, right, you've got what I think we had said, and this would be fun to go back and check what we had said a few years ago, that we expected, I think, in the neighborhood of 300 of those to get graded. We may have said like 250 or something.
Yeah, I think it's definitely in that range though.
Yeah. And so where are we now? Slightly north of 200. And there's, we don't get to keep track of the ones that are resubmitted, cracked and resubmitted and stuff like that. This doesn't concern me at all. They all look legit. Some of them are trimmed. Some of them have crappy backs. This isn't a case of like people printing them off. So I wasn't concerned at all. And in fact, having liquidity in these top cards is good for the hobby. You may not like the short-term effect that it has on prices on the low end.
Correct.
But I think it's actually good to have liquidity. Keep in mind the scarce 52 mantle, because so many were dumped into the, Hudson, there's like 3,000 of those, so if you had 10% for Pele with a global hobby, why can't that sustain, prices? And I think a PSA 1 mantle sells for like, I don't know, 20 grand or 30, 25 grand. I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but yeah, that's what I'm going to guess, somewhere in that range. So, it's not concerning to me. It's more interesting than anything. And, I don't, there's no red flags on this one. There's red flags on other stuff, but it's not on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel like there's, this is actually a good sign that 20 were found after a national show talking about the value of some of these. And, everybody's going to go looking to see if their grandparent or whomever has any. And, to think that there's tens of millions of people in Sweden and they found 20. So yeah. Total side note from that is one of my best friends was in Barcelona this last week and went to see a match, and she bought me a gift from there. Are you familiar? And I might butcher the word, but the Kahaner. It's something in Barcelona with like a statue that with a poop behind it. Like it's a statue of a person like squatting and there's a poop beneath it.
No, that's awesome. I love it.
So anyway, it's some sort of
cult
something
thing?
cultural thing from like the 1800s, and it still goes. Well, now there's a company that's making all these statues. So she got me this, and this is
Oh my god! Holy shit!
literally.
Literally.
So,
Oh my god!
and apparently they all have a very similar where they're showing the bare butt and the poop underneath, and yeah,
That's
like
classic.
they have like the Queen, of England and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, that was my gift from Barcelona.
And then an Argentina kit too. That's funny.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it? That it wasn't.
Yeah.
They're probably like, no, we don't want to have him.
Yeah, in a
in the
kit.
Barcelona kit. Yeah,
exactly. That's funny.
So, all right, I don't think there was really anything else major that happened in the Discord that I can recall. I saw you had a really interesting.
There's a lot of discussion this week or this month, really, kind of about top 100 lists, and Pip's list, and he was defending it, and others were chiming in, and I just think, you know what, I think all lists are good in some respects if they open your eyes to research different players, and then you can debate, all you want. I mean, the reality is almost none of us saw any of these players play
Right.
except for the pre-modern people. So we're all going off other people's accounts. Now, in fairness, some people are like, well, there's no video. We never saw those people play. But guess what? Hundreds of thousands of people saw those people play, right? So just because there's no footage of Fried, we know he was great, right?
Right.
Just because, there's no footage of that I know of, at least, of Beacon, we know he's great. He was great, right? Because not just one person saw him, tens of thousands of people saw him, and they all said he was great, and he had records. And so to a certain extent, I think just having lists with different perspectives, different weightings, I think is great for the hobby. And I don't take any offense if people don't like my choices or anybody else's choices. I'm just like, hey,
because we all have our bias, right? Like, I mean,
of course.
Like I lean pre-war. Other people are pre-modern. It's like, I mean, I do you weigh the actual skill and ability and athleticism of a player now relative to a player from 1908? Well, of course, the players now are just ridiculously more technically sound, and but it's all relative, in my opinion. The game was totally different back then. Everything. I mean, this argument happens in every sport, and it's totally like, I try to steer clear of those arguments just because I don't have I don't have a strong opinion because I didn't see those players play, but I have a lean just based on what I prefer to collect. So, but yeah, it's I enjoy hearing those conversations. I don't like being in the conversation per se, but I think it's worth taking note. And then it's also, when people do provide rankings, if look at those rankings, and if you're using it as a gospel, which I don't think anybody is, at least see where those rankings are coming from, and that it's not some list that on ranker.com or something, where it's just a bunch of people clicking.
I mean, see if you believe the sources, see if you agree with them. See if they represent as close to how you would think about ranking things in terms of what was important, how they went about their methodologies. So it was interesting. I was some of that conversation made me dig into Bill James's historical abstract, which, have you ever seen that really, really thick book? And he goes and researches every player to every play of the game, tries to distill through, adjusting for park effects, for, era, the average of the area. So he starts the standard deviation, how players performed, and all the statistics that we have in baseball that we don't have in soccer.
Exactly.
But the interesting thing about it was he then compares his lists to all the other lists that are out there. And there were a bunch of dramatic differences. And then he was like, why? Why do I have Ricky Henderson higher than everyone? And then here's why, right? He had a reasoning. You may not agree with the reasoning. He had Craig Biggio in the top 35, right? You may not agree with the reasoning, but he at least says why he thinks that, right? And I find that and he's not apologizing. He's just explaining, and he's saying if people have different views, fine. So, and I
write your own book.
Yeah, I write. Yeah. So go ahead, write your own book. And so I find it, I like that approach. Like he's not trying to convert people to his way of thinking. He's just trying to say, I think this, and this is why I think this. And if it gives you a second thought to think about on a relative basis, well, that's great. And if you don't, and you just want to say, that guy's crazy, that's okay too.
Yep. That's I wish soccer was you were able to quantify like you do baseball. Like baseball, pretty much the field's been the same, pretty much everything's been the same. It's all been played for the most part in North America and the Caribbean. Like that's basically where centralized for the most of the history, and then of course Japan. But like there's soccer is everywhere, and it's just different, started at different times, there's just all these different moving parts that are so difficult to quantify. But it's going to be a fun conversation even over the next 50 years when all of a sudden we're like, Mbappe, why is he in the top 10? It's there's gonna be 15 new guys, and
it's fun. It's fun, at least to me, and that's why going back, my general philosophy has always been like, who are the best guys of an era? Who with the same nutrition, same game, like who stood above everyone else in an era, and and that's kind of how I think about it. Of course, players from the early 1900s would not be successful today.
Right.
In the modern game, right? Lots of players from the 1960s and 70s wouldn't. So, you look at some of the stars, how they dribbled, and like that's way too far ahead of you before. It was just pure speed, right? In certain places. So I love it. I think you can find something to enjoy and love in every era. You can find players that you love, and if you don't like them, stay away from them. And if you think someone was good that's overlooked, hey, I'm willing to listen. Tell me why you think somebody's good. So post it in the Discord and we can have a conversation, not an aggressive one, not me telling you wrong, but, just, having a conversation, which I think is fun. And part of the reason why we collect is to learn more.
Totally. Yeah. Having an open mind is so important in something like this, because none of us knows, right? And our truth isn't necessarily the truth. So that's the thing, to keep our mind open and hear other people's truths, and maybe you agree with things and your mind gets changed, or you don't and it doesn't. So nothing wrong with either of those. So all right.
So I guess we'll pivot to look at the auctions, but there was a tremendous amount of high quality modern stuff this last month, which you probably didn't look at, but that kind of blew my mind. Some elite autographs that sold this month: Messi's, Ronaldo's. You had some Nor autographs, some flawless soul of the game. I mean, there were some big ass cards. There was a Lamille 1 of 1 that sold for like $100,000. I mean, it was in a crazy month for soccer auctions. But we're not going to talk about most of those here because that's not really what we do.
Well, just maybe as a, like high level, like, is it something that looks like is it just new product that came out, or are you even talking about older? Like,
yeah, I mean, like 2000, like the Nor, I think is 2016, right?
Okay, so do you think somebody's just like getting out of soccer or something?
I'm not sure. I certainly felt like on the flawless side, there was just a ton of really good stuff. Flawless. I didn't win any of this, by the way, but I watched very, very carefully to kind of see where they were going. And they all got really good prices. So I'm trying to pull some of the stuff up here, but we can go through the normal stuff, and I'll pull I'll pull up some other ones that I thought were just of note because I thought that it was a big deal.
Okay, so like maybe I even have them on the pages I pulled up. So let's hop into the Golden Elite.
Yeah, sorry, I got this allergy attack going on, so I'm gonna
just
myself
mute when you need to, brother.
All right, brother.
All right, so here's that Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a couple of big ones right there.
Yep, 122. We have a Dynasty Messi patch for 100K. So yeah, a couple of the nowhere.
Yeah.
45K.
Yeah, and those to me, those Nor, I love that card. Actually, I wanted to add that card for a while. It's just they all like if you look at even the corners inside the cases, they're probably 5s. I mean, they're just destroyed. And I'm just like, how are these things destroyed in the case? You know, but it's just crazy to me that these, you know, I mean, I guess this is the market. I guess if it was a basketball card, it would even do more. But I look at that and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money for a modern card, but it is pretty.
Yeah. All right, let's see if there's any.
Look at that. That Messi, 2017 Topps Chrome. This, even when these were being pulled, that was probably $1,000 card when these were being pulled, maybe slightly more or less. So that's had a great run. I mean, a great run. 40,000 for a 2017. I know it's the first Topps Chrome, but that's kind of a weird narrative, you know, in your rookie so much. Yeah, that just blew my mind that thing took in. And that's a 7 too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's number 10 of 10. So here you got
those.
3 Messis.
So these are eminence from the World Cup, and those went for the 36. Beautiful Holland patch. I love that patch. I love that card. You can actually appreciate the autograph too. 30 grand there. I had a bid on the Soul of the Game one, but it went more than I wanted to. 27 grand. I mean, these are, to me, again, I don't play in this market much, but these are some big dollars getting thrown into soccer.
Yeah, and then finally we get to a couple of vintage. We have a PSA 3 Alifa for 17,000. We'll see another 3 went for pretty much the same amount at Fanatics Premium as well. Aquarela 6 for 16.
How does that compare to the last Aquarela 6? You know?
I don't recall.
It felt high to me. I'll double check. But I could be wrong. But look at all those modern cards. I mean, lots of cards for 10 grand, 8 grand, 12 grand. So there's money in soccer. That's what this auction was like. I mean, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like somebody released a ton of Messis. Like it's crazy. Like how many?
Look at that Jude Bellingham, 7,500.
There's a Bellingham up above for 30,000.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, let me get to it. 38,000 for an Inception autograph.
Wow.
Sticker auto.
My God, really?
I think so.
Sticker auto. Oh my God. Interesting.
Looks like a sticker.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Again, this is not our market. It's not our market, so
Oh, did it not show?
It didn't show when you pulled it up, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, definitely a sticker auto.
Yeah, you can see marks right at the top edge.
Oh, the last six went in March for 22. This 6 went for 16. And let's see, blue and blue. So the last 6 went for 22 as well. So that's a decent drop then.
Yep.
From what they had then. A year ago, June, The 6 sold for 31. I think now, remember, there's some 8s now, or is there even a 9 now? Let me check the pop on the Aquarella as well.
Here's a 4 that went for 5,000. God, there's so many Leo autos.
I know, right? It was just crazy. So, and bringing in good money. Oh yeah, there's well, that's weird. On the blue, it only has 1.7. Right? Maybe it's the black that has the 2.8s. Yeah, so most of this stuff was just modern autos, but it was impressive auction.
Yeah, I don't see. There's only a handful of anything vintage, even. Oh, you know, it's actually probably 3 or 4 things so far, and we're down to like $1,000.
Yeah, and then we had like there's some pretty modern stuff in there. There's a Beckham and stuff, but I mean nothing gigantic. And now we're like below 500.
Yeah. So
yeah, not a lot of premium vintage stuff, but lots of premium modern stuff hitting the market.
Yep. All right, we'll go to the Fanatics Premier auction. There was only 5 soccer items for this last one. A 9.5 Messi for 40, with 3 9.5s and a 10. So it's on the high range. Here's the other Alifa 3 that went for 17.4, so pretty much the same price. PSA 2 for 12,000. So I think that we're kind of finding the pricing being similar the last month or so with those. So I think maybe we're finding at least a base in price. Yeah, definitely would have been disgusted looking at that Golden Elite auction. So yeah, I mean, not much really to say here, I don't think.
Yeah, crazy month for modern stuff. Actually, I haven't been able. I've been traveling so much, I haven't seen any of Alex's videos. But he, usually runs down this, and I'm sure there's just a ton of modern. At least that's the way it seems to me the last month. So I don't know if he did. Maybe he can say in the comments whether he did a video on this golden auction with all the great modern stuff. I haven't checked his channel, but for those of you who don't know, follow USMNT. He does some great videos reviewing auctions on weekly basis. So he usually focuses on PWCC, but that golden auction was just crazy for modern stuff. Anyway, we gave him a free plug there.
Yeah. That we no compensation required. So all right, we're gonna go to a couple of the last 2 weekly auctions that ended for PWCC. Maybe just gloss at the ones that sold for a decent chunk. And I only did from 1980 and earlier. So this is what we have. PSA 4 Titulares for 3,500. Still feels low relative to some of the other Pele's that there's more of. That's this is I don't know. I still feel like this is one of the best priced Pele 1958s out there, in my opinion.
And a 4 is hard.
Yeah.
I'm going to double check here the pop as we go, but that anything higher than like a 2 is actually kind of a big deal in titulares.
Back looks pretty good. I mean, there might be a little bit of marking. Hard to tell if that's just something from the front coming through or what, but I mean, this Miazza Abyssinia.
That's a really high price, or no?
Yeah, that was my reaction as well. It feels like a lot.
Yeah, what did you think of the Di Stefano on card auto?
I mean, it's population 1 of 0, according to this auction, so that's pretty impressive. I think, I mean, it surprised me, the price, actually. Like, I think that's a positive sign.
Yeah, it went for more than I thought. I would have liked to get this one, but it went for a lot more than I thought it was going to.
Did you get this?
No, I didn't get it.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I was bitter way less than that. I just didn't. The auto's a little hard to see, you know, and it's
Yep.
kind of, you know, on the thing, so I didn't want. I wasn't going to stretch. I have one,
And it's like a ink pen, right? Like
yeah, if you may recall, but this one just looks really cool to me, so I splurged on that one back in the day.
Did you just show it? I was looking at the other page. Did you show the one you bought?
Oh, this one? Yeah. Well, I happen to have
Oh,
it here.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a portrait, so you can see the signature better.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I still like that one.
This one's just busier. Yeah.
I bid on it. I would like it, but you know, there's not many cards that he signed. So
yeah.
That's a pretty good deal on the Socrates. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't really have a strong grasp on like what these are worth. But I mean, that's early, right? And you don't see them that often. So, I mean, $1,000 doesn't seem out of whack at all.
No, I mean, I think, and this one was a pretty good one. It has some paper loss on the back, but you can see most of the back. A little fuzzy on the image, but you know, for me, I think this is a good deal over the long term. Yeah, the titulares, by the way, is a pop 94, the number 50, which is the most common one. But there's 1 8 6 5 6s, 7 5s, 1 4.5. So I mean, it's pretty, you know, top 20% of the
yeah, for $3,500. Yeah, not too much else going on. Seems like a lot of these have been coming up for sale lately. I don't know if it's the same ones, but
and they seem to be getting good prices too.
Yeah, I think they've all been at least 300.
Yeah, despite the fact there've been a number of them.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, here was this Erico, the Gran Pellicula.
Yeah.
You don't see those available too often.
Yeah,
so
you know, I may have won that one. I don't know if I did. I know I bid on it, but I didn't really check. I love that Zuban Zamora.
Yeah.
Really nice. Even that later Fidas Mesa has just got a good image on it next to the original.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice looking card.
I know it's late career, but I liked it. I mean, I didn't win it, but I like it.
No, same. All right, let's hop over to the one from 2 weeks ago. So a lot of Pele's at the top here. The Mira, $7,200.
I love that card. Love that card. That's a big price, though.
That's a big price.
You know. Yeah, I was not even close on that one, but I love it. And I actually don't have that card, but I just wasn't going to stretch that much.
Yeah. Another 4 for right around 5,000, so that stayed the same. This Lampo for 8.5 for 3,500. Would you prefer this, or would you prefer the titulares?
It's tough. I mean, the 8.5 is crazy high grade.
It is crazy high grade.
You know, but you know what? Even a 3.5 in the Mira is high. Most of those are 1s and 2s. I'd probably take the Mira because I don't have it.
Would you take the titulares 4 or this?
I would take the titulares 4.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at for the same price, basically.
Yeah, so, same price.
Yeah. All right, here's a 59 O&B Balas, 1,700.
It's a good. I mean, I like that sticker a lot. More have been coming out over the last couple of years, as you'd expect, and this particular one had a chunk taken out of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, it's fun copy to have in your collection. It's a beautiful sticker, different image from anything else. I like that sticker.
Yeah. Velita back Eusebio PSA 6 for 1,500. It looks really nice overall. Like just even the centering and everything looks pretty solid.
Seems low to me for a 6 with the Velita back.
Yeah. Here's one you don't see too often.
I thought for sure I was gonna win this one, but I placed what I thought was a big bid, and I got blown out.
Wow. I mean, it's a great looking card, you know.
Awesome.
It's full size and yeah, just pretty classic.
And did you see that Charlton red and blue back? That's the highest grade.
Okay.
For 1,200.
I mean, a 7 is very, very nice for this card. Like for the grade. The grade is very generous.
Yeah. I think that the cut, like I don't know how it got a 7, but it's in a 7 holder and it's the highest rated. So I mean,
yeah,
that's why people are bidding on it. Like I think the Zoff the Zoff underneath it you'll come up on was a much better cut.
Oh yeah, this looks way closer to the grade.
Yeah,
than the other.
That was a much nicer one, and it also for him on that sticker brought a decent price. But it's a blue and red, so there's just not many of those blue and reds out there.
Yeah. Here's the same card basically. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but it's the same grade. So this one sold for So then the next 3 sold the next week, and it was $350. So.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of market fatigue on that. Really nice Fedora Barak there. I like that card a lot.
Really nice, that's nice looking.
It's really nice back on that card too.
Monty Aguila went for 252. I think the buyer should be happy with that long term.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's even. I mean, in a 2, I think. Absolutely great price. I'd definitely like to be the buyer on that one.
Yep. Tingles Adamir 2 for 252 seems about right.
Yep, feels about right. Somewhere, depending on the eye appeal, 200 to 300.
This two-tone color Mazzola 3 for 228. Probably want to be the buyer there. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't followed this one or have seen it much. I think it's a little bit harder than people think. So, I just generally like Mazzola, and I've seen the only ones that have done really well at auction were those really high grade, well cut Nanina cards.
Yeah,
everything.
I think anything 47 and earlier is primo to get of his. Like, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of 48, 49, even 50. So I think, here, USMNT, thanks, but no video for me on that auction. After 2020, they lost with modern, so many sets and parallels. Yeah. Totally get that.
So hard to keep track of. But hey, Alec, that a lot of that stuff at the auction, besides the 2022 Eminence, was stuff from the 2015 to in 2020. So you probably know enough about that stuff. Some really high end, autos in there, pretty cool stuff. But anyway, back to Geo Smith here.
Yeah, I'd be happy as the buyer at that.
Yeah, how was the back? I did wonder how the back was on this.
Let me see.
Because like this felt low to me, given
it's kind of bent in half, so the back looks good though.
So I didn't look at this one closely, but in the front on this one,
there's a crease across the middle of it.
Across the space, yeah.
I
can see it then. I think obviously without that crease, even in that grade, I think it goes for more. But it's a great card. I love that card.
This is one where the whole border has been cut off and then graded. So, I mean, it's still his one kind of head and shoulder shot from that set. But if you weren't aware of what it looks like, there's like a white border around that typically for the Torneo Nacional. Another great looking Spanish card, the orange background.
Yeah, I love those Hispano-Americana cards.
Yeah.
There's all of the stars have them. It's just a cool Luis Suarez in a crazy good grade. I mean, an 8 is like off the charts.
It's such a classically cool, like with the Barca kit, just everything is just so awesome about that.
Yeah, I was surprised that it went so high because this is selling more than his rookie.
Yeah,
but I think it's so cool, the visual on it. It's just such a nice sticker. And in a PSA 8, I think my highest Hispano-Americana card is like a 3.
Oh, yeah.
It's just super hard. And an 8 is like insane.
Oh, I need to edit this. Isn't it sale room, not sales room?
That's all right. No.
No,
don't call yourself out, man. Let it slide.
So there was just a few sales over the recently that I wanted to share. So there was two George Bests that weren't actually that great condition. One went for 2,400 pounds and the other went for 2,700 pounds. One has a light crease across the bottom. The one that went for more, that's big prices.
These are way bigger prices than what you'd get on PWCC or Golden right now.
Yep. And then there's the full set down below that went for 1,600. I don't know how the and then here's there's some stuff going on there, but
doesn't look bad though. It looks better than the other ones. Actually.
Yeah, back doesn't look terrible. And that was 1,600. So, and then the biggie is the
Dixie
Dean that went for 3,400. It did have paper loss on the back. So it's going to be a lower graded one, but when all said and done, to get it for about $5,000 US, that seems about right, I guess.
Yeah. It's probably a 1.5, probably.
Yeah, that would be my guess. We can see what this looks like a little better or a little more.
That checkered print on it was a little concerning, but
I mentioned that in a premium. That was my concern because it's a photograph, and that's what scared me is seeing this checkered pattern. So I don't know if it's the scan.
I'm gonna guess it's the scan, but it's a little concerning because you just don't see that on them.
Yeah, it looks wonky to me. So, and that's actually exactly what I said in our premium chat was like, I couldn't buy this based on
that scan.
Yeah, if I lived over there and I stopped in the auction and I took a look at it, I would have a lot. My confidence level would be so different. So, I
would not bid on this based on the scan for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't look at it this closely, but when I see that there, that does not look like any of the copies I've had, and I've had 5, 7.
And we saw some that went on eBay that were not real, that we were very
adamant.
We were very confident that was the case. So this looks different otherwise. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like the ones that we were for sure were not real. But it doesn't look right either. So, I'd be interested if somebody does end up buying it. I would, if somebody's watching this that has bought it, send it in to get graded right away, so that you can get back to the auction house and let them know.
Look at the back. Let's see the back on this.
Yeah, let me pull that up.
The
back looked fine to me.
Just a little bit of paper loss in the middle, right?
Yeah, you can see it right here. Yep.
It certainly looks like vintage paper, so I'm guessing it's the scan, but I wouldn't be bidding 3,500 on that scan.
But I guess, and I don't see any curvature or anything, and that's kind of weird too. I guess there's just a few things. The paper almost looks more like it's a late 20s, it kind of looks almost more like a late 20s just tobacco card than
And the photographic cards that
yeah.
were the DC, yeah.
So,
Well, it'd be interesting to see if somebody comes up and says it, because I think your advice is right. Send that in immediately to get graded, because I think, at least based on that scan, there's a decent chance it gets kicked back.
okay, so yeah, now that we're starting to share those, I may as well tell anybody watching that doesn't know about Sale Room, hyphen saleroom.com. There's a bunch of auction houses that list on there, and
European based.
Mainly European based, right? So yeah, like I search football usually, and probably 1 out of every 20 items is American football when I do that search. So it just shows you that most of it is soccer. So
and the other thing there, just be super careful on the individual auctions. The shipping can be really expensive. Bidding increments can be very different from the US.
Yeah, look at the premium and then the US dollar to
exactly.
So like what you bid here, you got to multiply by 1.6 basically, because it's like 1.3 from the pound to the dollar, and then it's another 30% in fees.
Taxes, fees, and shipping. Yep.
Yeah, and this doesn't even include shipping. So if you're buying like some big lot or something like that, you might be paying another $200-$300 to have it shipped over to you.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind.
Be careful. Bid informed.
Yeah, and right. Be very careful when you're bidding there. Just and ask them questions if you have any. Just most of the time, I don't know if you'll get an answer. So okay. Now we'll go to a little bit of eBay auctions. Let's see here. Just some older stuff that supposedly sold recently, or we'll stop at some that did recently. So I got to look at the dates so that we can. So supposedly this Maradona sold for $6,000. I feel like that's probably not true. 3.5 Aquarela.
But we don't know the prices on those.
Yeah.
101.
Here's a 4 for 4,300. So that's less than what it was going for at the other two auctions. Probably because of the holder.
I would guess. Wow.
Yeah.
Did that really go for 4,000?
I'm not going to trust any buy it now, or I'm just going to look at it. I should be just going to auctions, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that at least give us like more accurate.
So that 4 went for 7,000?
That was in July.
Oh, okay. I was like, whoa.
PSA 7 team card went for 2,000. PSA 6 for 1,700. Oh yeah, here's the Gunnar Nordahl. They went for 1,600.
And that was going to be if you looked at the cut, it's going to be an authentic.
Yeah. There's definitely some wonkiness going to that. Here's an Imperia PSA 8 for 1,500.
That's actually relatively low because the Imperia is hard, and that grade, it's really hard.
Yep. A PSA 5. Oh, that's in July. Kind of got to sort through that stuff. See if there's anything else of note. Here's the Gunnar Gren for 900 from the same sale. PSA 1 Titulares, pretty
very thrashed, super thrashed. I mean, we're seeing, look at this. This is interesting to me. On one hand, you've got the late 1960s Oleola going beyond a Quiggle. That's crazy.
Yep. It's just because you don't see as many of the Oleolas out, for
People
sale.
are trying
Really.
to put together runs of 60s rarer Pele's, and they're
Yep.
paying up for them. I mean, that's clearly what's going on in the market right now.
Yeah, so that's that.
I kind of feel like in general, I don't know how you feel because I haven't. I don't think I've. I mean, I win a couple cards, like literally $100 or something on PWCC. I see almost nothing on eBay, so I kind of feel like the supply is like a little constrained, like generally across what I'd call super cool vintage, which is why we're getting kind of cool results on that. You know, the Fedora Barrack, the Kuvala 53. Was that an element or I forget which one it was? Yeah, so we're getting on kind of stuff you don't see much. Those are getting really good prices because I just think there's not a lot of supply. I don't know. That's kind of my feeling in the market. And especially when you compare to all the money getting thrown in the modern stuff, it just seems like an odd time.
Yeah, and I think that this is going to be this was a concern that we discussed even during the boom was what happens when like these items are in diamond hands, right? And people aren't willing to move items. How does that affect demand? Because we might lose potential collectors because there's just
There's nothing to
nothing.
buy. Yeah, there's
So
nothing to buy.
yeah, so like when people want the biggest and best and those aren't available, then they start looking at other items. You hope they do, but you're going to lose some of these collectors also. It depends on how much people are looking at it as an investment or they're looking at it as a collector. If you're looking at it as a collector, I think collectors will find anything that interests them to collect. I think it's going to be a potential issue with investors that want to come in and get like those high demand items when they're not available. And I think that that's going to be.
And this is why I think things like the Alifa numbers going up is not. That's like an investor card, and having more of them and having them trade, no matter what's going on in the price, up, down, whatever. You know, like when sometimes they talk about volume and stock, kind of really important. So just having those, I think, is not necessarily bad. And I think collectors tend to be much more patient than investors.
Right.
But it is, I don't want to say concerning, but I just see like I felt, and this is completely subjective, like there was a lot more vintage available over the last, I don't know, 24 months than there have been the last couple of months. And it could just be an anomaly, could be the time of year, it could be whatever, but it just doesn't seem like there's if you go back and look at this video, which I doubt, many people are going to be here watching us at 48 minutes. So, hey, if you are, we appreciate you. Please like the video, join the Discord. We send you hearts. So that was an excellent one, by the way, Bill. Looks like you had experience doing that. That was good.
I go to music festivals. I do that to people all the time.
Okay, good. Yeah, I had mine looked more like an oval.
Yeah, you need to drop those thumbs.
Yeah, drop the thumbs deep.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at like the cards that we talked about, I mean, there weren't that many. We talked about 25 cards in how much 50 minutes.
And how many of them are the same cards? Like that's
Aquarellas, Alifas, Titulares, all Pele, 60 Peles, Imperia. The 62s. We saw one shitty Maradona. I mean, it wasn't. A couple odd players like Suarez, Kuvala. So it's just not. A tremendous amount out there. And I think that more than anything is my takeaway from the last month. Again, a month is a point, a couple months are, as a line, but none of those are trends. So I'm not hey, Jimmy, Jimmy's watching. Hope things are well in Canada, our friend. So I think that, see, Jimmy can always find, because he collects everything. So he can always find something. Yeah, but for vintage soccer collectors, it's kind of been a bone dry kind of 6 weeks. So that was kind of my big takeaway here in the last month or so.
Yeah, I feel like that's like, we saw a decent amount of like early UK stuff that went through Fanatics, and then that's kind of gone now. And then we didn't see really anything, pre 1920 almost, the last couple of weeks, from what I recall, at least. So
No, I think that's right. When you start, like I usually start just to get the vintage. I sort in PWCC by earliest year.
yep, same.
Right. And so the last couple, I think, now I haven't, been as connected this last month, but it felt to me like they were like late 20s to 30s, whereas before, you had a lot of earlier stuff, and not just,
Yep.
It's just a dearth of certain segments, and it comes and goes, right? So again,
Yep.
I don't want to make a big deal of it. It's just a few weeks. There's any number of reasons for that, but I, in general, am slightly surprised, and I think, a sign of a healthy market is as a dearth of supply, and when things start to come out, they usually do well, and then that brings in more supply, and then it goes down a little bit. So I think it's in a good spot, and I think we're primed for a solid performance in the sector here.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna see it be like this totally feels now like it did pre-COVID. Like that's where we're at, and things just don't move quickly, and it's a slowly, surely kind of thing, and it's you see ups and downs of the same cards and same grades and everything, and it's just all demand based at this point, and yeah, I mean that's where we're at, and that's where we were before we started doing these videos. So we just had a lot of craziness in the meantime. So yeah, I mean, I think you guys are now experiencing what we experienced pre-COVID, and just there's more demand overall because there's just more people in in it.
Yeah, but just like pre-COVID, there's not a lot of FOMO. It's like, hey, even if you wanted that, even on the modern stuff, you wanted that Nor, on card auction, which Jimmy probably has like 5 of them sitting in this thing, the messy auction.
Maybe Jimmy was the seller.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
buyer,
Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't know. He's always everywhere. But anyway, if you like, I kind of feel like even though that card's numbered to 25, like you could let it go and maybe get it later. You may have to pay more, you may have to pay less, but I don't think a lot of people are thinking, oh my God, in 3 weeks that could be $150,000 card, right? It's just that's not the thing that we're in. And I think that's a good thing. Like we even said at the time, we're like, this doesn't feel right, because it's just too much, too fast. And I think just, that patience and, more collectors, less flippers is good for the hobby. So let's watch it carefully the next couple of months. Maybe some things come out and surprise us on the positive supply side or the negative supply, but it's just a slight comment at one point in time as of the September state of the market.
Doesn't it feel crazy? I was just thinking about this, that we're like less than 2 years away from the World Cup again.
I know, that's awesome. I love it.
Like it's crazy. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, oh my God, it's getting real now. We're gonna be like making our preparations before we know it, and it's a exciting time. So, people that were all talking about the World Cup 2026 being their goal for when they started collecting and stuff like that. We'll see how much it impacts it. I'm interested to see what happens 2027. I think that's going to be the litmus test to see where we're at. See if there's new entrants that are still buying after the excitement of the World Cup has died down. Right. I think at least that's where I'm kind of looking to see.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair approach. And from what I recall, Jimmy said we can all crash in this place in Vancouver because I think they have some games.
Perfect. Thanks,
That's
Jimmy.
right.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that, man.
appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, we'll send the address. We'll post it on the Discord, and
Yep.
everybody can get a museum tour of his collection that spawns literally every sport and professional known to man.
He's gonna have to pay for armed guards.
Yeah, tickets and cards and photo. I mean, the guy's got everything. So anyway, yeah, so it was good. I hope you have I'll go back to my allergies and my Kleenex box here, and we'll see you guys on the Discord, right?
Yeah, thanks for fighting through, Al, and we'll talk to you guys soon.